Hey Dad, stop! We want to play! An adventure that came to mind this week was a memory of my family's very first trip to the snow. Okay, talking about cold weather during this early streak of heat on the Gold Coast, it's a little out of place, I know, but it's the only story I can think of that illustrates a point that I'd like to use to inspire us into the last year of this term. So, if you'd rather not throw on the old thermals and put on a beanie for effect, I'll understand. On with the story. I grew up in Sydney, so a trip by car to the snow country was around 3 or 4 hours long. But the long trip for us kids quickly faded into history with the first sighting of snow on the side of the road. Not spadefuls, but handfuls of snow appeared out of nowhere on the side of the road. Only on one side at first, and then slowly but steadily on both sides. Wow, snow! Dad! Wow, Dad! Can we stop and play in the snow, please? Please! Now, neither of us kids had ever seen snow before. I remember that the handfuls of snow that were appearing looked a little like ice cream. Little scoops that someone had carefully dolloped on the sides of the road. They were pure and clean and just aching to have little kids pick them up and lovingly nestle them into snowballs or maybe a snowman. But wait, hang on. Why aren't we stopping? Have you ever felt like you just couldn't wait another second? Dad, we want to stop and play in the snow, please. We didn't stop. You haven't seen anything yet. Just wait, you'll see, answered Dad, and we powered on. Now, as the journey progressed, with us little kids begging to stop and play in the snow, and our wise old owl father calmly but lovingly driving on, we noticed that the clumps of ice cream were beginning to get bigger and bigger. Now, as we drove, the amount of snow progressively grew and grew, while the road and the countryside around us was increasingly being blanketed by beautiful sheets of white. It was mind-boggling, and when we arrived at our destination, the vast covering of snow across the mountains around everywhere was breathtaking. The sheer amount of the stuff was amazing. It covered everything, and it was everywhere, all over the parked cars, hanging off roofs in the form of icicles, and even along the railings of stairways and windowsills. It was truly a spectacle. We couldn't wait to have our first snow fight and make our first snowman. So, do you want to play here or do you want me to take you back? Called Dad. This was his way of telling us that we would have missed the huge beauty of the Perisher Valley if we had settled on the tiny little puddles of snow. It was my dad's way of assuring us that he knew something that we didn't. It was my dad's way of teaching us that waiting for something better can sometimes be more worthwhile than we assume. It was my dad's way of getting us to stick with the distance and not sell ourselves short. 3 cheers for Dad! 3 cheers for Perisher Valley! What about you? Ever waited a little longer to discover the pot of gold around the next corner? I've often wondered about what could have been if I had only waited a little longer. There's no telling what the future holds, I know, but still, it's my hope and prayer that during this last term of the school year, that we all make it safely and surely to our Perisher Valley moment. I'm sure it's going to be worth the wait. See you next time.